Okay.
Awesome. Okay. Hi, everybody. I am so excited. I am filling in for our Miss Priscilla Allen, who has strep throat. She's on this call, but how wonderful is that? She has strep throat and ear infection, and her whole family is sick right now. So poor Priscilla. So I am filling in, and I am so excited because I get the honor to be able to interview Miss Anica Relaford. And honestly, I'm so excited for this because unless you're brand new to Optavia, you know all about Anica because she's a gem, and she does so many of our wonderful trainings. So I'm super excited to be able to have this opportunity to talk with you, Anica, and ask you some questions that I know will really benefit our team. But the first thing that I want to do is I kind of want to do something a little bit fun because I did a little bit of research today about Miss Anica outside of the Optavia world.
Uh-oh.
Yes, I did.
Uh-oh.
I thought it would be so fun to be able to, and I found out some really interesting tidbits about you, Anica.
Uh-oh.
What I thought would be silly and fun to do is I am going to name off 6 things, okay? And one of the 6 is not true about Anica, okay? So, and I just thought this would be really fun. And so think to yourself what one you think is not true about Anica, and then Anica will reveal what one is not true, okay?
I am so scared right now. What did you find?
I was so happy. I searched your Facebook and I just found this really cool thing. Okay?
Okay.
So, number 1, she has had 13 surgeries since she was 13. So 13 surgeries since she was age 13.
Okay.
Number 2, when she was a kid, she helped her parents clean pools.
Okay.
Number 3, she likes to collect unique frog figurines.
Okay.
Number 4, she is genetically missing both lateral incisors.
Okay.
Number 5, she caught a fly ball at Dodger Stadium and knocked her tooth out.
Okay.
Or number 6, the one smell that takes her back to childhood is WD-40.
Okay.
So Miss Anica, those are some interesting facts. Which one out of those 6 is not true about you?
I feel violated. No, I'm just kidding. I want to know from everybody else what at number everything. Okay, so we're taking 3. Okay. Anybody else have a guess? I don't know. Number 3.
2. Kim says 2.
Okay. Well, I'll start with this. We'll go here. I am missing my lateral incisors. Yep. So genetically it runs in the family, and Jacob, our son, actually has 1. So this is going to be a hot mess with his dental. And so I have had 13 surgeries. Yep. Yeah, lots of surgeries. I was actually addicted to having surgeries, which is a very unhealthy thing. So, and then also, I love the smell of WD-40. I don't know why, but it does, because I'm a daddy's girl, only child, and so we used to do a lot of things in the garage, and he had WD-40, and I love the smell of it, especially in the wintertime. So what is that, 3 that we've got here? And then we also said, let's see, catching the fly ball, and I knocked a tooth out, and then we also said I clean pools, right? And then I'm missing one more.
Let's see, frog figurines.
Oh, frog figurines. Absolutely love frogs and owls. So yes, and I have frogs right up here. I'm pointing to them right now. There's 2 of them up there. And so between the other 2, I'll let you know, I have caught a fly ball at Dodger Stadium, but it did not knock my front teeth out. So thank God, because I was already missing 2.
I totally freaking made that up.
Yes.
So bizarre. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much, Anica, for playing along with that. I just thought that that was so cool, and to just kind of get to know you a little bit more outside of the Optavia land. So, but moving right along, we really are looking forward to hearing, just kind of a little bit more about work. Somebody who might need to mute themselves. Somebody
I think
is.
it's Rob.
Oh, let me mute. There we go. Okay, perfect. So, all right. So, sorry about that, Anica. So, we would really love to know a little bit more about your journey. So, if you could please tell us, when and why you decided to start coaching, and just kind of a little bit leading up to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a little bit longer story. I've known Jamil since the 5th grade and kind of grew up with him. And so I've got a lot of history with him and knowing him before he started this. And back in 2013, I hadn't seen him since high school, but back in 2013, I really started to see some things that he was sharing on Facebook. And I didn't have a big Facebook presence, but I was struggling a lot with my weight. And I had seen a lot of before and afters, and I happened to like one of them. And of course, what happens? He starts up a conversation, right? Like, hey, I haven't seen you in forever. What have you been up to? And literally, that's how I started program. Well, the thing is, guys, that I wasn't really ready to make that change. I started program and I treated it just like a diet. I ate the fuelings. I did incredible. I was super consistent and lost 30 pounds. But then I told him I'm good. And he goes, well, I really think that you should coach. You've been doing absolutely fabulous, and you don't want to gain the weight back. And I think you'd be incredible at it. And I said, oh, no, no, no. You are so much better. I could never do what you do. You're so incredible. There's no way I could hold a candle to your flame. And I'm good. I got this. And he goes, well, at least keep getting into the books. That back then was Take Shape for Life. And I said, I hadn't even cracked them open, to be honest with you, but I'll look at them. And I stopped. Well, the years started creeping in, and year after year, I gained all of the weight back and then some. And it wasn't until 2016, August 10th of 2016, when our son came down with a really rare diagnosis called Bickerstaff encephalitis and almost died, that the seed that was once planted started to grow. See, at that time, we were really, really unhealthy, but not so much just physically, but it was mentally, it was financially. And it took that moment of desperation in my life to have that wake up call. And it usually takes an act of inspiration or desperation for somebody to really make a significant shift. And I'm sorry to say that it was our son going into the hospital and almost dying. But what started to make that shift happen was that Jamil saw me do a live on Facebook about how we were contending for Jacob's life. We weren't sleeping, we weren't eating, we were constantly researching, we were being proactive, we were fighting. And for those of you that are in Optavia and have been in a while, he started to see a lot of the hot six represent in a lot of the things that we were saying. We were living above the line. We weren't going to blame and shame. We were looking to the future and acting in the now. We were looking at Jake actually being healthy and figuring out, what do we need to do now to make this happen? But I didn't see this, but he reached out and he goes, I want to let you know that we want to be there for you. He goes, Amanda and I want to drop everything for a week, have a kid stay at the grandparents, come up there, clothe you, feed you, do your laundry. Want to give you guys some funds to put in your GoFundMe account. We know that you can't work right now and that would be helpful. And literally, that is when the coaching seeds started to fertilize, you guys, because I was in a job that didn't want me back. I had spoke to them about coming back to my job, and they told me basically, well, we've got about 5 hours a week that we can give you. And the amount, and I'm just being real, the amount of anger and frustration that that put inside of me was the immediate seed and fire that I needed to break through and decide that no longer was somebody else going to be controlling my future and the destiny and legacy of my family. And I started to look at what Jamil was doing. We'd stay up every single night when we were watching Jake's respiratory rate, and I would just scan. I would just scan his Facebook feed and how he was living life, how he had saved his marriage with Amanda, how, you know, how he was traveling, how he was showing up to be the father that he wanted to. And immediately I just started reflecting on myself. And December 15th, Jeremiah doesn't know this, so if the replay comes through, it'll be interesting. I've just never seen any reason to tell him. December 15th, I told my employer, bye-bye. I don't know what I was going to do, but I left. And I stayed at home with Jacob, and I started contemplating on what I was going to do. Either I was going to go to nursing school and spend $50,000 to go to nursing school and rack up another student loan. We already had 1.5 million in medical debt, Jake being in the hospital. Or maybe, just maybe, I could lose a little bit of weight and start coaching and start bringing in some financial blessings. So we went down to Disneyland March 8th of 2017, and Jamil just happened to be there with Amanda at the Rainforest Cafe. And immediately that Friday, I came home after seeing him, and I said, I just placed an order. And he goes, okay. He started me up strong. And 2 weeks later, I said, I'm coaching. And he just went, why? And I said, you know why? I said, I want everything that this embodies. And I'm no longer going to sacrifice my health, the health of my son, our lifestyle. And I know that we can have better. And everybody needs this. I was in the healthcare field for 15 years. I wanted to be on the proactive end of healthcare instead of the reactive end of sick care. And I knew what was possible. I knew that if I could do it, everybody else could do it. Because I had tried everything known to man. And within our first month, we were supporting our first 8 clients. Within our first month and a half, the fire was lit so deep, we went executive director. And it just set on fire from there.
Oh my goodness, that is, I haven't heard all that part of your backstory before Optavia. That's incredible. So did I hear you right? When you jumped in to go on program and coach at the same time, is that right?
Within 2 weeks, I jumped on program. I knew it was possible. I lost 10 pounds my first week. So that was March 17th. When I started on St. Patty's Day. And then 2 weeks later, I looked at Jeremiah and I said, I'm not going to nursing school. I'm purchasing your coaching kit on your credit card.
What did he say? Did he think you were crazy?
He so did. But he's so supportive, right? Like, he loves me thick and thin. And he was just like, all right, do what you got to do. Because I had purchased my program on our credit card too, because we had nothing. Like, I was just giving it a shot. And I told Jamil, I said, all right, I put it on Jeremiah's credit card. Let's get my investment back. And he just started laughing. He's like, let's go. And we did.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Was there ever a time, Anica, that after you started this journey with Optavia that you thought, oh crap, I made a big mistake or anything like that? I mean, was there any type of, moment when you were scared or you were thinking, oh my gosh, I made a mistake? And if so, what was that? And how did you turn things around in your mind?
That's a really big one. Yeah. Jamil shares that, he quit I never quit, but I did have two particular times where I really was starting to question whether or not, number one, if this was right for me, but number two, if I was going to be successful at this. And for those of you that kind of see me on trainings, I'm a fighter. I don't give up when it comes to things. But I've had my moments, and that moment happened about a year into coaching when we had integrated a regional director, and we went to convention that year, and we came back and everybody stopped. It didn't light a fire in them. Everybody stopped. And it totally took me, and I didn't understand why, because it had lit a fire under me, but everybody else shrunk in fear.
Are you talking about everybody else on your team?
Yes.
Really?
Yep. And it was the most interesting thing to see that some people are actually scared of success. Some people are so scared of what happens if I become successful. What does that say about me? What will happen? What will be required of me if I'm successful? Right? And that's when I knew that the people that we had brought onto the organization and our family, the timing just wasn't right for them. And we had to really work hard and look for those people that were looking for that. And so we struggled for probably about a good 8 months. And I kept hitting my head against the wall. I kept asking Jamil, I'm like, I just don't understand why people won't do the same things that they say that they want to do. And he's like, until you learn that this is not an anybody else thing, but this is a you thing, you're never going to get past it. And I kept hitting it. I kept hitting it. He goes, we keep getting on your mentoring sessions and you keep saying the same thing. I just don't understand why they won't do. I just don't understand why they won't do. And he's like, this is a you problem, not a them problem. And I kept questioning. I'm like, is this right for me? Is this right for me? And it took us a while to find the people who actually saw hope. And I'm so proud of them right now. I wish they were on.
Oh my goodness. I had no idea that you had this up and down. That's kind of crazy. You get to this one place and you're thinking, hey, this is all great. And then for that to just kind of fall by the wayside. So you got past that.
Mm.
And I can only imagine on the calls with Jamil and him just, which is, it's very, very true, but hard to hear, it's you, it's all you. So, but, you also trusted Jamil, and we all just get a very, great sense about Jamil, and you've had the opportunity to know him from way back. What, was it elementary school or something?
Yeah, 5th grade.
5th grade. Oh my goodness. Well, as your business started growing again after this next, upswing, when was it that you really realized what coaching could absolutely do for you? Like, did you have an aha moment like, oh my goodness, this is unbelievable, like a chills moment or anything like that?
I had that pretty much the second I started coaching. It was probably when we hit executive director and we replaced our full-time income, my full-time income, that I was like, wow. And I started to see what was possible as Jamil started to dream. But I don't think it really lit until I had the shift inside myself that I would allow it to sink in. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
we can see sometimes, we can see the hope, and it's kind of great. It's for those people, like, oh, it's attainable. It's kind of attainable, right? Like it could happen. If he can do it, I can do it. But it wasn't until I had this defining moment. So I'll be real with you guys, is We all do. My dad is bipolar, and he has suffered with committing suicide for many, many, many years, ever since I was probably about like, I don't know, 5, ever since I can remember. And so August 2018, I got a call as we were really building our team back up. This was when I was having that moment where we came back from convention and everybody hit rock bottom. And I'll never forget, I got the call from my mom that she didn't know where he was. She didn't know what to do. She was starting to plan everything. She's like, I got to figure out what money we have and all of this stuff. And she was putting the cart before the horse. We didn't know where he was. And she was being irrational. She couldn't process things. And I had to be the one to go down there. I had to be the one to find him. I had to be the one to pull him out of the car. She was completely irrational. He was an hour away from dying, hypothermic at 83 degrees. And we brought him into the hospital, and he lived. And he woke up and he looked at me and he goes, I really wish you wouldn't have saved me. And at that moment, a couple of things happened. Number one, I saw where my mom went to about not having enough and what she was going to do. Number two, I saw my dad, who I've loved all my entire life, not want to live anymore and didn't feel like he had anything to live for, and be upset at me for saving his life. Number three, the blessings that coaching had given me through all of the struggles that I had gone through trying to build a business, and what it taught me as an individual, and built myself up, the self-development, so that I could deal with that in that given moment without breaking down to help my mom. All of this stuff made me realize that anything was possible.
Oh my goodness, that is so crazy, Anica. It is very true. And, in just hearing all this, you would never believe all of this backstory because of where you're at now. We all see you on trainings. You do an amazing job. You're so polished and wonderful at what you do, and you have a successful business. And so this is really such a thank you so much for telling us all of this, because it gives all of us hope. Honestly, we all struggle, and those are some huge struggles.
Like you said, polish though, you have to be in the river. You have to be pounded in order to become polished like that. And we're still all getting better. But if we don't go through those hard things, we can never become the person that we need to be, that can handle the stuff all the way up here. It's just about not giving up, even when it gets really, really rough.
That is so true. And can you imagine what would have happened had you not done some of the personal development that we all are, take place in and take part in, I should say, and had that moment, and you hadn't done all of that mindset is so important.
I have to say, if it wasn't for the Optavia community and really leaning in on the community, being present for, believe it or not, all of the training calls, right? The March Madnesses, where we deal about mindset for an entire week. When we go to the events and we hear the breakthroughs of other people, and we get these pearls of wisdom and we fill up our cups. If it wasn't for being on these training calls, if it wasn't being for the community, if it wasn't leaning in, this would have never have happened. If I just tried to do it all alone by myself and not be vulnerable and also be open, I would have never gained these tools to be able to get to where I was now.
Oh, it's like such a beautiful thing, because all of the strife and all of that, and coming through that and learning. And I bet sometimes when you speak like that, don't you, kind of maybe go back and think, oh my goodness, look at how far I've come in my own personal development. And, right?
I just sat down with Jeremiah. I worked until about 11:30 on Tuesday night, because we just have 4 new coaches in our family. And so it's all on me right now to train. And we sat up until 2 a.m. Just look at how far we've come. Like, and it's all because of this. Like, our marriage is great because we started to work through the hard things together. And the business is thriving because the teamwork that we put in and the conversations and the self-development from Kim Fisk, because that saved our marriage. And just, it's just incredible looking. And so we sat for like 2.5 hours and just talked and looked up at the ceiling and talked about our the family of coaches and everything that we've gone through. It's, yeah.
Oh my goodness. It's a beautiful story, Anica. I mean, honestly, I love hearing all this, and I know everybody is captivated right now. I'm kind of in tears, and I just, honestly, I have even more, as if we all didn't have respect for you enough. Now, in just hearing this, it's even more profound, for sure. So, I would love to just ask you a few more questions, maybe some a little bit more practical. You know, we have some newer coaches, some coaches a little bit more seasoned in this group. And so a couple of things. Number one is, how do you manage your business while raising your family? And have you struggled with that? Have you struggled with getting structure in your business? Tell us a little bit about that.
It's a hot mess. Oh, the mom guilt. Right now, for instance, this is usually dinner time and I'm usually the one cooking. And I said, I'm getting on with Priscilla's team. Like, you guys are going out to dinner. I'm sorry, I'm not cooking tonight. He's like, that's all good. We can go have daddy and me time, which is really kind of cool because they need that bonding time anyways. And so I have to remove my mom guilt from that. But honestly, it's a hot mess. When I started this, I remember bringing on our first 22 clients within our first month and a half. And I looked at Jamel and I'm like, oh my God, how do you do this? I'm like, I feel like I'm at a job again within the first month and a half. And he goes, that's exactly why 2 things. Number 1, you're going to start to live in structure and die by your calendar and create healthy boundaries. And number 2, you need to sponsor coaches, because if you want to do these things like you're talking about, you're going to want your time. There's no way you can do this alone. And so it's really been fascinating. I'd go to him and I say, well, how do I structure my calendar? And he's like, you're going to have to figure that one out. He's like, your priorities and your importances, they're going to be your own. I can't do that for you, but your trainings are going to be rocks, but you're going to have to figure out how important is date night, how important is family night, and you're going to have to start fitting this in. So that was fun. But then noticing, like, every 3 months, I'd change my schedule all over again. Okay, this isn't working, so we'd have to do this, right? Okay, this isn't working now, we're going to have to do this. Okay, client support days, I'm not getting a hold of anybody on Friday. Okay, we're going to switch it to Sunday. Okay, it's not working. I'm not getting a hold of everybody on Sunday because it's family day. Okay, we're going to try it now on Thursdays, and I'm going to designate 15 minutes and everybody knows when I'm going to call them. That does not work at all. So he just said, make it your own. Do your business as your business. So for me, that's what I did. Tuesdays from 9 to 1, client support days. That's when I call everybody, or they can reach me during that time. If when I call is not working for them, Wednesdays 3 to 5 as a backup if they need me. And that's it. So that has been super helpful because they'll know then if it's important to them, they will call me. Even my pilot calls me and he's never available, and I get a hold of him every single week. So that has been a shift for me, not to be the hero coach and be like, okay, I got to call you here and this is when works for you, but to really run it like a business. Mm-hmm. And those that are going to be successful will actually come in and do the work and take your phone call. It's been so great. So that's been really helpful for me. And I probably get a hold of 50% of my clients now versus if out of 50, I was getting a hold of maybe 5.
Wow, that right there, that I loved hearing that, because we all struggle with you know, and just hearing you, yeah, well, that didn't work, and I think I'm going to do this day, and client support, we're all dealing with that. I mean, I for sure am, and it's like, it is a hot mess, and you just, I guess, slowly but surely, you're giving us hope that sooner or later you're going to find this groove and feel more as an empowering coach. And I love that, because it is so true that you treat it like a business, and then people that are wanting to be successful will do that type of thing. They will get on the phone with you instead of beating yourself up. So I loved hearing that. Thank you. You just gave us all freedom pretty much, right? Because
I'm
we all
trying
beat
to.
ourselves up.
Yep.
You know?
And the mom guilt thing about family and stuff like that, let me tell you, make sure that you're putting rocks in your schedule for date night. Make sure you're doing it for family night, and shut the phone off. Please, God. I mean, I'm a hard worker. I'll be honest with you. I will work 7 days a week to help anybody. But if we're not filling our own cups and taking care of our priorities with our kids and our families, then what are we working so hard for? So usually Wednesday nights, that's when I turn the phone off at 6 p.m. I'm done. If I have to check in for the first 4 nights with a client, I will, but I will move that up a little bit. And then, have some flexibility too. Sometimes you start off a new coach and they're running and they're having fun, and I'm like, all right, family night's gonna move to Thursday, sorry guys. Like, but it's having that discretion and discernment and flexibility and communication with the family that is so important. Say, look, we're working towards a common goal, we're working towards a common dream. This is how we get to go to Europe for 18 days in June, so just buck it up, buttercup. Like, we got this. And then when it does die down a little bit, because you will have seasons, then you spend a little bit more time with your family during those times. Sorry,
Great.
I'm
That's
hot
great.
flashing.
And oh, well, thank you so much. One more question, if that's okay, during your hot flash.
I know.
Because we do respect your time, and we're all so grateful. All of us on this call are so grateful that you took this time with us tonight, because, oh my gosh, this is your family time.
I'm so grateful. This is fun.
Oh, it has been really fun, Anica.
I know.
So I'm going to ask you one last question, and respect your time, so we can have this done. But
Sorry,
what do you wish people would ask you about your coaching journey? Do you kind of wish, I wish somebody would ask me that, because I think it'd be a great thing for me to share? Can you think of anything?
Question. I do wish some people would ask how rough it's been.
Wow.
Because I think people will go look at leaders like the Tinters and the Scarces and the Smithsons and Jamil, and they'll say, wow, they've just got it so good. They've got it good for a reason, but you got to remember too, they're sacrificing a lot of good for the great, and they have sacrificed so much to be able to get where they're at. And you just don't know what people have gone through. And you'll look at people and they're like, oh my God, they've got it so easy. They're incredible. Oh, they don't make mistakes and all of this stuff that we judge and we compare. But really ask, those leaders will share their hardships with you to let you know that if they can do it, you can do it. And I had the comparison gene for a really, really long time. A really long time. And every once in a while it starts to creep back in a little bit, like I should be at this spot. And I've been doing this for so long. Like, I came in the same time as Michelle Bamba. Right? And her and I bonded together at our first event. And, I'm like, why aren't I there? So I think I would love when people ask me, like, what have been your hardships, so that I can share how to come out of it. You know what I mean? If I can always add value to people and say, hey, look, it's going to be hard. It's going to be sticky. It's going to be nasty for a little bit. You're going to have your seasons. Feel it. process it. Don't try to shove it. Feel it and process it and go through that season, because everything that you're going through right then in that moment is literally there to help you get to the next level. It doesn't feel like it in the moment. It sure didn't feel like it when our son was in the hospital for 3.5 months, dying and fighting for his life. But these things that you're going through, these obstacles, they are gifts wrapped in crappy packages that you just can't see through. You're really going to have to pry it open in order to get there. And then once you've got that, it's so beautiful when you can come out the other side. But people won't take that time to really ask. And so if you guys ever want to ask, like I haven't shared enough, I'm an open book. I will let you know. But inspire you at the same time to let you know it's all good. It's just the process. You got to have the good. You got to have the bad to know what the good feels like.
Mm-hmm. Whoa, my goodness. Thank you so much. You opened up, you were so vulnerable, and it gives all of us hope because, we see you, the Anica Relaford, and you're, but yet you have
So
gone
weird.
through all these challenges, but that is you. And, that's how you're viewed because you're amazing and you help us on all these trainings and everything. So just know that that's how we all think of you. But to be able to listen and hear about this other side and how you got there has been invaluable to all of us. So thank you so much. We are all so grateful that you spent this time with us tonight, Anica.
I'm honored. I'm really honored to see each and every one of you guys that are on this call and that are watching the playback just rise into the person that you've always been destined to become, and watch you guys go through the hard stuff and come out the other side like victorious and really just embracing what an amazing, abundantly great life looks like. And you guys are probably already living it now, but it can always be better, right?
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes. Thank you so much. You certainly gave us all so much hope tonight. Hope for our businesses, hope for, oh my gosh, life and everything. So thank you from the bottom of all of our hearts, Anica. This was beautiful. Thank you so much.
I'm just honored. I would say if there's one thing that I would encourage you guys to do is really show up for the community, show up for the events, show up for the trainings, because you just never know when you hear something that's going to resonate for you that you need in that given moment. If I didn't do that, because I'll be real, I was like, I don't need boot camps. And then Melody Banky said, well, I go to every single boot camp. And I went, oh. And that I have to give her credit, because I probably would have never gotten on one. That created the dynamic shift for me. So,
wow.
Yeah, I just a little thing there, I think is
Great
just
advice. I mean, we will listen. We could listen to you for hours, honestly.
I'll listen to you ladies all the time.
Oh, thank
I
you
love it.
so much. And we look forward to seeing you in Arizona.
Oh, I can't wait to see you guys there.
We'll give you a big hug.
Oh yeah, come. Be careful. I tackle people.
Okay, we'll be ready. We'll be ready. Thank you so much, Anica.
My pleasure.
All right. So.